tonight, guest is Bonnie Scurry with Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And you would be surprised if you're like me. You'd be surprised at how many kids will be sleeping on the floor tonight within a stone's throw of where you are and where I am. And so we've got, there's a whole organization that has been created to help combat that and to put kids in beds. And we have Bonnie Scurry here. The reason we bring her in is because, would you call yourself the president? Is that what? Okay, so she would be the president of the local chapter of Sleep in Heavenly Peace. For those of you who are not familiar, Sleep in Heavenly Peace is it's a nationwide organization begun in Utah, right?
Correct.
And so it's made its way here. It has, how many locations? Do you know how many locations it has?
There are now over 350 chapters across the country.
Okay.
And they're into now Canada, Bermuda, Bahamas, and Hawaii.
I do this thing, and I don't think I knew that they had stretched that far. But so, Bonnie, before we get into all that, tell us a little bit about Bonnie. Where, like, are you from here? Where, just tell us a little bit about who you are and where you came from.
Well, I am a Georgia girl. I was born and raised in McRae, Georgia.
Oh, goodness.
You know where that is?
I do. I going from Warner Robins. My grandparents lived in Jessup, and so we would make that trip down the Golden Isle Parkway, and so we'd go through McRae.
There you go. Tiny little town.
Mm-hmm.
But I moved to Savannah in 2000. And I came here, I was a school teacher, taught in the Chatham County school system for almost 30 years. I taught children with special disabilities and taught in all the schools in the county because we got moved around a lot. So I had pretty good spread.
But, so you moved on from teaching, and now you got a second career.
I do. I got my realtor's license before I retired. And then I just transitioned right into that, and that's been a really fulfilling career for the last, I guess, 7 years now.
So, don't you work at the same place that John does, John Carr?
I do.
Okay, all right. So people at least here, I'm not sure people online who all is watching online, but folks here will know who John is, and so he's kind of our resident realtor. If anybody needs a realtor thing, have any questions, we all go to John. So.
Well, I guarantee you can't outsell John. So I just bow to him.
He is a great guy. He's
You're in good
just a terrific
hands.
person. Okay, so Sleep in Heavenly Peace. When did it begin here? Well, I guess maybe even where. Do you know when it began out in Utah?
I do. In 2012, it was begun by a young couple that. One Christmas, they decided that, they didn't want their children to get all the gifts. They had too much already. So they wanted to teach their children how to give rather than receive. And they found out about a family down the street from them that had just moved in and their children didn't have beds. Wow. So the father said, you know what, I think I can make a bed. We can build something in the garage. They invited the Boy Scout troop over. And they built it and delivered it and took some friends with them. And he said when they left there, everybody said, let's do it again. So here we are since 2012. And to date, there's been over 300,000 beds delivered across this country.
Wow. So, okay, so how did it get here then? Like, because you're the one you with a few other people. I know that you don't want to take all the credit yourself, but
Absolutely.
You and a few other folks brought it here to Savannah because before y'all did that, that wasn't a thing here at all.
We'd never heard of it. Nobody here had. But I was having dinner with some friends from Chattanooga one evening. This was about 4 years ago, and they were sharing with me about this outreach program that they were involved in there. And as they talked about the children that they were serving, it went back to my years of teaching, and I thought, wow, we have that problem here. I knew it because I'd seen it in the school system. Those are the children who came in every day, put their heads on the desk, they couldn't stay awake. They had very poor school performance. They were, socially just didn't get along with other children. They got in a lot of fights, and they had very poor academic performance. And it just all hit me that we had never thought about the fact that they may not have a bed to sleep in, so therefore they don't get a good night's sleep, and their bodies and their minds don't recover.
So what was the process then? Because I think I remember you talking about you had to go somewhere to learn about this or something. How did that process?
So I
take place?
did. My friends gave me the brochure of Sleep in Heavenly Peace, and I contacted the national office, and so I had to apply for us to start a chapter here. And then I had to go through what they call a SHIP University. It's an online program that just teaches you all about what Sleep in Heavenly Peace is all about and how you implement it. So once I did that, then I was allowed to come out to Idaho, where they do their national trainings there. So it was a 3-day event where they just walk you through everything you need to know to start a new chapter. And once we got that, we were fortunate enough that being there, we met the people that were about to do a large build on Hilton Head. So we came back, and immediately within the next month, we got to go over there and participate in a huge build, and we brought home 100 beds that had just been made. So unlike most chapters, we started with beds to deliver. We got the mattresses, the bedding, they gave us everything. That's usually not the case. Most chapters have to start from scratch and build from 0 up. So we started with 100. And that kicked us off, and then we started having our builds. Yeah, we set up a build and build the beds from raw lumber. So we began that process, and we've been delivering beds to children ever since.
So so I know you got the training and all that, but
Right.
I mean, so I guess full disclosure, I'm on the leadership board with Monty, and so we're still trying to figure stuff out. So
Right.
So I know you got the training, but there was also there was a huge learning curve, especially at the beginning, and we're doing things a lot different now than we were then, and I wasn't involved in it then. I didn't hear about it until I think probably a year after y'all had started. Because what year was that you had gone out there, that y'all started here?
We started here 4 years ago.
Okay.
No, actually 3 years ago. We delivered our first beds 3 years ago.
Okay, so it's pretty new. So what were some of the biggest challenges that y'all had in trying to get this thing off the ground?
Well, it is a challenge, and it is hard because you have to understand the process. There are really 2 arms to it. One is we build the beds from raw lumber, from scratch lumber, and then we store those headboards, sideboards, slats, the whole bed. We store those in a warehouse, and then we go out on deliveries and we deliver those into the children's home. We assemble them, and we give them a brand new mattress, all new bedding. So when the children come home or they're there, they jump right in their bed. So it's two-step process essentially. So I have to give credit to some gentlemen that y'all well know here, Glenville and Bruce Powell. They are the 2 guys that are the power and the drive behind building those beds, because I participate, but I'm not the handy girl when it comes to equipment and that kind of thing. So those gentlemen and a large number of others, they put these bed build days on, and there are huge events. We just had one recently this past weekend, and we had over 80 volunteers there. So it takes a lot of manpower to do the builds and to build the beds, but then we warehouse them, and we just keep deliveries going every week. Actually, this week we delivered 13 beds this week.
So while we're on that subject, so it begins with a build, and you have to. I know Bruce he's got a list. This is what I order every time, and it's all written out. But can you explain what a build is like?
Okay, sure. It's really a good activity for churches, any type of organization, businesses, where you really want to promote people working together hand in hand in an outreach, trying to serve other people. It's a beautiful way to do it. We set the station, we call it stations, where each part of the bed frame is built. And we line them up in what we call a train, because it's essentially in straight lines. So you start with the raw lumber, it's, measured, cut, and then it goes to drilling, and then it goes to sanding. And there are, steps to the whole process. And by the end, we have the headboards, the side rails, the slats, everything ready to go, and we package that together, to go into a home. So there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of sanding
All the
equipment
sanding,
going.
yes, yeah. The
all
dust is everywhere.
drills,
Yes.
yes. But I've actually gotten to the point where I love that sound.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd say that because it's really noisy and, but it's just like a hum going. And when I look around and see all these volunteers, smiles on their faces, having fun, talking to each other, laughing, when things don't go quite right, and helping each other. It's really a beautiful sight, because that's the hands and feet, of servanthood for sure. They're out there. It's hot. We built on some really hot days, so it's sweaty, smelly, sawdust on top of everybody, but it's really a sweet thing.
It's one of those things that's worth it. And really, the cool thing is, like, anybody can do it.
That's right.
And I remember I took Natalie out there one time a couple of years ago, so she would have only been probably 16 at the time. She had never worked any kind of, power equipment kind of stuff.
Right.
And I can't remember if maybe I was on it and she was just standing next to me. But anyway, she started doing the saw, and you just bring down that saw and you cut that wood. And she did it for the entire time. And she didn't want anybody messing with her. She figured out how to do it, and she had fun. She only lost 3 fingers that day. It was great. It was awesome. But no, I mean, every step of the way, like, anybody could do any of that stuff if they're willing to be trained.
That's
I mean, you don't
right.
want to just throw people to the wolves.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, anybody in here could. Yeah, those sanders, man, that it gets kind of, because every time I've been out there, we've had to have more sanders.
Right.
And so, Sanders, you get it? You get that?
No wonder he likes it, right?
I didn't pick up on that. Okay, so that's part number 1, and so we get the headboards and the sideboards, and everything is dipped. And what is the dip for?
Well, it sanitizes the wood.
Uh-huh.
Number 1 is, keeps any, bugs or, anything like that away from the wood. So that's good for preservation, but also, it slightly stains it, so it just gives it a more polished look. And then we also brand.
And then you can do the branding part. That's fun too. So.
And teenagers love to come and do that. Branding is a lot of fun. It's a little hot because there's a fire pit there and a branding iron, but it's a fun part of the process.
Because 100 degrees isn't hot enough, so you gotta.
Yes.
Yeah. But so what we're talking about is you brand. There's a brand that has the Sleeping Heavenly Peace logo, and they brand both the footboard and the headboard, so that people will remember forever, I guess, however long, where it came from. So that process is done. All that stuff is loaded up, taken to a warehouse, and then what's the second part?
Then the really interesting and fulfilling part is to go on deliveries, which you've done as well. And that's where we go in small teams, usually about 4 to 5 people on a team, because the spaces that we set the beds up in are small spaces, so you can't take a lot of people in. But we actually take the bed parts and we assemble the bed frame. We give them a brand new mattress and all new bedding. And then the children, if they're there, that's always wonderful if they are, but sometimes they're at school or other places. But if they're there, they get to hop straight in their beds, and that's the sweetest part.
Those are the pictures I really wish that I had
Yes.
asked for beforehand.
Yeah.
So I'll try to remember that. We'll do this again in a year and
There you
we'll
go.
show pictures or something.
We can tell you the updates then.
That's right. Yeah, that's a sweet, because you get to interact with folks they're in need, and at least every time that I have been, which I don't go every single week. In fact, I haven't been a whole lot this year, but every time I do go, the people are very appreciative. So
Absolutely.
So that's been.
I'll tell you one of my favorite memories of going on a delivery. We were going to deliver to a 6-year-old little girl. I already knew her name, her age. Well, we knew her name too. But so we walk into this apartment, and all I see is darkness. There are no lights on. The drapes are closed shut. And in every corner that I could see, there were just piles of stuff. You know, you couldn't even tell what most of it was. It was just hard to maneuver and walk through there. There was this huge aroma, unpleasant aroma from dirty dishes in the sink and trash bags hanging out. And it hit me so hard. I thought, this is the face of poverty. And it's right here in our community. And I had never experienced it that vividly before. And I thought to myself, what's the view of the child that lives here when this is their world? What do they feel? What do they think? What is their thoughts about what the rest of the world is like? They probably think it's just like that. And that was dark and heavy. But then, right in the middle of the room, I saw the face of that 6-year-old. And she had bright eyes, her huge smile on her face, and she was so excited because she knew we were there to bring her a bed of her own, which she had never had.
Wow.
I will never forget that. I can still see her face today. And that's what keeps me going. I can't imagine not doing this anymore because in Chatham County alone, it's estimated that we have over 970 children that are sleeping without beds. Now, that's hard for us to really register, but we get applications continually, and we already have over 970 children on a wait list that have already, their parents or whoever has already applied for them. So, and we've not been at it that long. We've only been going 3 years. So we're just, starting, honestly. We're learning a lot as we go, how to improve in all areas so that we really can become more efficient and address this problem quicker.
I mean, like, just for those of you in here, have you really thought about that there are almost 1,000 kids, like, in our city? We're not talking about out there. We're not talking about in the slums of New York or whatever. We're talking about here where we are, almost 1,000 kids. And what did you,
It's over 9,000. Over 9,000. What number did I say?
I thought you
it's
said
over
900.
9,000 that are on a wait list, but in our county, it's estimated there are over 9,000.
Goodness gracious. So that's a lot. And so there was just a celebration for a milestone, right?
Right.
Over the summer.
Right.
And tell us about that.
So took the challenge. Some of us had gone to a national bed build that Sleep in Heavenly Peace and Lowe's did jointly in Charlotte, North Carolina. And the challenge was there to build 5,000 beds in 24 hours. And we did it. It took hundreds of volunteers, and it was an awesome, unbelievable process. We worked in, we just rotated out, in and out, building those beds. But the beautiful part was we came back with 100 beds from that build. So we challenged ourselves, and we thought, you know what, we don't want to sit on these beds. We're going to deliver them. So we set out to do it in 3 months, 100 beds in 90 days. But we actually finished out the 100 before the 90-day period. So we delivered a little bit more than that. So it was quite a celebration because it took a lot of hands and feet to make that happen. It was a hard work.
Because it's not a quick process. You walk into the homes and you do all that, and so you send out a delivery team, and each one of those delivery teams on a Tuesday morning might get to 2 different locations. Is that fair to say, Glenn? 2 different locations on average, and you put out anywhere from 1 to 4 beds, and so it takes a lot of coordination, because you think about it, you got to get, there are all these names that are on the list, but you got to coordinate with them when they're going to be there, and all that stuff it just takes a lot, and so there's a lot a lot of people behind the scenes that are working on that. So Bonnie certainly has a lot of help, but she's the one coordinating all of it. That's why we have her in here. So we don't want any kids on the floor. So, but let's talk about why that is. Let's talk about the life change that takes place. I was just Googling some things about what does a lack of sleep do for kids. And, you know, for me, for y'all, we're tired. You know, that's it. We can fake it till we make it, right? But that really doesn't happen for these kids if they're not getting a good night's sleep. And so I looked up a few different things, a few different sources. The Children's Hospital of Colorado, they talked about if there's not enough sleep, there could be all kind of problems, including decreased brain development. You know, I mean, ours is already developed. Again, we don't get a full night's sleep. We just make it up later. But they're getting behind. They have learning problems, more negative emotions, weight management problems, growth issues, like just their body is growing, and then an increased frequency of illness. The University of Utah, they really found a lot of the same thing. Sleep deprivation weakens the body's defense mechanisms, just talking about the inability for them to fight infections and those kind of things just because of a lack of sleep. And not only that, but it increases cells that create inflammation. So it's not helping them in any of those ways. Sleep deprivation, also from the University of Utah, hinders learning abilities, which Bonnie had mentioned that. How a kid learns, they can't remember what a teacher tells them. They have a hard time remembering what they just read. Their brains have a hard time focusing, and they're more distracted. They make careless errors, and this is stuff that they all studied, and they found all this stuff. They have a hard time focusing on class assignments and tests. They're more likely to lose their temper, which is why what she mentioned, the fights and those kind of things. And then the third thing that University of Utah found is linked to childhood obesity. We see those studies all the time on TV about how we're becoming more and more obese, and we look at the kids, you know, that are around us, and we're like, you know, get outside, you know. In fact, I just had a friend of mine who posted that online today on Facebook. He was like, send your kids outside, they're getting fat. Well, you know, part of the problem might just be, oddly enough, not too much sleep, but a lack of sleep. Right. And so just it affects their hormone levels that affect their hunger and those kinds of things. But then I thought this was really interesting. The National Institute of Health, and I guess they kind of summarized it the best. They did a study of 12,000 kids. 12,000 kids. You're not talking about a small study. Ages 9 and 10, and they found that only 4,000 of them had enough sleep that they believed was enough sleep, which is, I think, that at that age, 9 hours is what is suggested. And so they basically looked at these other 8,000 kids. And they found, and forgive me for reading, but I just think, again, I think it's interesting, and it really does summarize all the problems that develop just because a kid isn't sleeping correctly. So this is why this matters, okay? More than just the third worldness of a kid sleeping on the floor, but the actual effect that it has. Says the researchers found that children in the insufficient sleep group, that's 8,000 of them, at the start of the study had more mental health and behavioral challenges than those who got sufficient sleep. These included impulsivity, stress, depression, anxiety, aggressive behavior, and thinking problems. The children with insufficient sleep also had impaired cognitive function, such as decision-making, conflict solving, working memory, and learning. Now, if I understand this next sentence right, this grabbed me even more. It said differences between the groups persisted at the 2-year follow-up, which means that 2 years later, because they're not getting the right sleep at 9 and 10, it is still affecting them in these same ways at that time. 2 years. You would think, well, right, we're going to let them sleep now more, and so they'll be better. But it's from this point in time, 2 years later, it's still affecting them. That's it's kind of tragic. And so we see that right here on our own area, and we may not, we might have criticisms of the public school system and the scores that are coming out of them, but you got to wonder, a lot of that is contributed, maybe not intentionally in their home life, but just the circumstances that they find themselves in. I'm not going to say it's not their fault because I don't know. I do not know. I can't go to each individual kid. I'm just saying there are things that we can do that will make a huge difference in all these areas that we see, that we find ourselves concerned about. We can point the finger at them, at teachers, at parents, and all that kind of stuff. And we may not be wrong in doing that. I don't know. But what I am saying is there are things that we can do. And this is a part of that solution. So, Bonnie, I appreciate what all you're doing along those lines. So, what you got? Any other personal stories or interactions or anything like that you've had in the midst of all this? Whether it might be with volunteers, it might be with the kids, it might be with their parents, any of them.
Well, outside of, as I said, being on the build days and just, the activity and the buzz there, just recently on our last build, we had 20 teenagers who showed, actually it's 22 teenagers that showed up with one of their church sponsors. And it was really fun to watch teenagers engage, as Natalie did, in this process and get hands-on with equipment, and then to understand what they were doing, that they were really providing maybe for a child that sat beside them at school.
Wow, that's crazy.
But they left there with huge smiles, and so many of them were saying to their sponsor, "Can we come and do this again? That was fun." I mean, they think it's fun. We think it's hard and tiring, but that was really sweet to me to see those teenagers really get engaged and enjoy it. It was such hands-on activity for them, and they really grasped the concept of what they were doing. Their sponsors were good to educate them that these were for other children that are in your schools.
So have you had many that have gone on the deliveries? That's where the real, the eye-opener, people don't live like I do kind of moment. So have you had many who've gone on those? I know Natalie went on one, and I know we had that, what was that young man, what was his name? The day we went to go, yes, that's right.
Buck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So have you had many
Wilson.
that have gone?
We've only had very few teenagers that have gone on deliveries, and the main reason is because most of those we do during the week,
Sure.
when our volunteers are available to do it. We do some on Saturdays, and that's a great time for them to get to come. But, again, we go in such small groups, we can only take maybe one, or two at the most at a time with us. But it is a great experience because I think they, just like me, when I walked in to deliver to the 6-year-old little girl, the lifestyle itself is just such a, in-your-face thing that really the way we live is so privileged. And I think many of our teenagers just need that reality check.
Sure.
So I think it would be great if we have more of them. And maybe we need to actually plan a delivery series or ongoing deliveries where they are invited and participate in that. I think it would be awesome.
Maybe just have one big Saturday thing. You got some of your leaders.
Right.
And, yeah.
That's how our best ideas get started, just like that. A conversation, just like this. Standing at a sending station or sharing a meal, we come up with an idea. So I think you're on to something. That might be our next project plan.
Okay, so we got some folks in here who they hear it. Some people who are watching online, never been a part of it. So here's a big thing. How, and we can take our time on, like, we still have plenty of time. How can people get involved? Like anybody in this room, anybody watching online. I know that there are several different levels at which somebody can help. So what are some different things that people can do to help out the ministry, well, not the organization, to help out the work that's taking place and those kind of things? How can they get involved?
Absolutely. There are a lot of ways. That's a good part about it. Everybody can participate at some level. Here's the good thing to know. We are locally funded. The majority of everything we do, we have to raise the funds ourselves. And we're also 100% volunteer based. Nobody gets paid. So the funds that are raised go directly to delivering beds to children.
You know what, that I'm glad you brought that up, because it's kind of interesting. It's funny because being a part of the Southern Baptist Convention, which our church is, I guess because I grew up Southern Baptist, I knew better. But over the years, I was surprised at how many people thought or didn't realize that we're not supported by the Southern Baptist Convention doesn't send our church any money or anything like that.
Right,
It's kind of odd. And so this is the same way. It's not like Sleep in Heavenly Peace in Utah is sending our chapter money. Now, they do help. They might help with bed bills or whatever, but they're not sending us money. It's all coming from volunteer sources.
Right.
So that's very important to know. And if you're watching online and you're in a different city and they have, you might want to check out the website. The website's on the screen. So the website is right there on the screen. Look and see if there's a local chapter for you where you are and find out how you can get involved. But just everyone know that your chapter, they're raising their own money. And so it's not being sent from anywhere, and it's not coming from the sky. It's coming from people who get a heart for this and help out. I'm sorry I interrupted. Go ahead.
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, we depend upon local donations, and we've been fortunate to also have not just individuals, but also some businesses to support us. So there are two ways that you can get involved in that direction, and one is we need the monetary support. We have to buy the materials, we have to buy equipment, we have to buy bedding. All these things are needed to.
Can you tell us, give us some idea of how much is a bed? If we were to, all the resources that go into making a bed, how much would a bed be?
Okay. Sure. From beginning to end, starting with the scratch lumber and ending with the bed delivered to the child with a brand new mattress, all new bedding, that's $250 per bed for each child. Okay.
I mean, so you think about
that's
that.
The cost.
The 100 beds that we just did.
Yeah.
That's not, it ain't free. So anyway, go ahead.
Exactly. Yeah. So we do need donations, and at the website shpbeds.org, you can go on there and donate to the local chapter of Savannah. So again, all the funds that we raise locally stay here in Savannah. That's the good news. And then the other way to donate is we've been the recipients of some of the bedding drives that you have done right here at Emmanuel, and that is, the twin size beds in a bag. That's what we use. Those store well and they handle well. And it's a twin size set of sheets, pillowcase, and comforter. They all come in one bag, and y'all have done several bed drives for us, and that's been super helpful.
So for people who don't know about that, where can those be found? Like, you have to go online to buy them, or where
you can
where
get
can
them
you
in Walmart. You can purchase them on Amazon. They're pretty common to find now most places. A lot of people are wonderful about shopping sales at different locations. I'm not the good sales queen, so I can't tell you all those, but they're good places to shop and catch them on sale. But we use that. I mean, those go every time we go on delivery because we deliver the bed completely set up for the child.
And boy, girl, it doesn't really matter, right? Like, whatever's
well,
geared toward.
need both.
Yeah,
we
right,
need
that's
both,
right.
and all ages, because we deliver to children from ages 3 to 17, school-age children. That's what we're focused on. So, we deliver we know if they're male or female before we go on delivery. So we select the bedding to suit the child.
Sure.
So if it's a 4-year-old little boy, we're going to pull a set of bedding that would, be pleasing to him. If it's a little girl, it's probably going to be pink, right, or one of those cute colors. But we do our best to make it something that they will really be excited about. Mm-hmm. So the bedding drives are very helpful, and we really appreciate that. And then the other way is to actually many businesses and organizations and churches have sponsored builds for us. So if you sponsor a build, then that means you're doing the fundraising or you are providing the funds for us to actually put on a build day. Normally, we come in and do it on site. If the corporations want to do it at their site and have their employees volunteer, we'll set it up there. We set our train of equipment up and they can come out and participate. So sponsoring bed builds is a critical part of it too. That helps offset much of our cost. So we appreciate that. And then it's volunteering. And you can volunteer in either of those two sides of it. You can volunteer to come and build and get dirty and dusty, or you can volunteer to go into the homes and hopefully see those sweet children. And I want to say too, it is all about the children. But I tell you, there's also a passion that will get risen inside of you when you see the mothers or the fathers who are struggling to provide for these children as best they can. They want better for their children. Mm-hmm. They really do. But they're doing the best that they can. Mm-hmm. So when you come in and provide a bed to a mother for her children that they've not had, we get a lot of tears, a lot of smiles, a lot of hugs. It's a very, it's a very beautiful thing to watch.
So when is somebody says, I'll do a build, I'll go get sawdust all over me. When is the next build? Let's just
we have
put it down
one
for
coming up on October, the next one will be October 25th. And that'll be a big one out on Skidaway Island. Messiah Lutheran Church is sponsoring that one. So we'll be putting out an opportunity for people to volunteer for that, sign up. I want people to know that we do have to cap our volunteer participation per event simply because we want everybody to have something to do.
Right, yeah.
Nobody wants to come and stand around and watch everybody else, doing
I don't know,
all
I know
the
some
fun
people
stuff.
like that, but yes, I hear what you're saying.
What would be the point of coming, right, if you didn't get your hands on? So we try to limit per build day so that everybody can have some way of participating, and we encourage them as they're sanding or drilling or handling that those pieces of that bed to just think about that child that's going to sleep in that bed.
So how can they sign up if they want to help at that build?
We always develop QR codes that we share the links to that website to sign up. We have a sign up site for each build day, and so they can go and just sign up online and then show up. That's the important part. Come prepared with jeans and good sturdy tennis shoes on and not clothes that you care about getting dirty.
Yeah.
So,
no Sunday clothes.
That's right. That's right. So it's really, the sign up part is simple. Coming and getting signed in is simple, and then it's just a matter of finding your way in the opportunity to jump in.
So what if somebody wants to volunteer for the delivery? What can they do?
Same thing. They would supply their email address to us. We put it on a list, and we keep that list, and we try to go through that list regularly to give all people an opportunity. And when we have deliveries, we again create a delivery link. So it's an online link, and we'll send it out. You just go on, fill in the information, and sign up.
So we've got the email addresses on there?
It's right up about you.
The email address right here.
It's
Is
on
that
top of
right?
Lane's
Does
head.
that look right? There we go. So yes, email. I guess that'll go to Bonnie, right? That's the one that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it'll go to Bonnie, and she'll, let her know that you want to be a part of a delivery, and we'll get you on the list.
And groups, we've had groups, organizations, churches, all kinds of small groups that want to go on a delivery as a team. So we've set that up several times too, and that's always fun for them. Sometimes they do lunch after or before, breakfast before, something like that. But that's a great way for businesses, I think, really to get their employees to engage with the community instead of just sit at their desk and, you know, do their responsibility there at work. And it's great camaraderie. They really bond during the process, so it's really fun.
And especially here at Emmanuel, that'd be easy because we got so many who are already have done it and do it on a regular basis, semi-regular. Anything else that you want to say about Sleeping Heavenly Peace?
Well, I would just encourage everybody to, you know, begin to understand that, number one, there is a problem. Bedlessness in Savannah, Georgia is a real problem. But here's the good news. We have now a real solution. But we need all the help we can get. You know, we need volunteers, we need funding sources, and we also really need a warehouse space. Probably about 3,000 feet, Glenn, would you say?
We need a red light blinking right now, because this is something that we've talked about this several times. This would be huge for this chapter of Sleeping Heavenly Peace. So go ahead.
What that would mean is that we could set the equipment up on more of a semi-permanent basis so that we could bring volunteers in more regularly without having to transport all this equipment. It's very hard labor on the men who volunteer with us, and it cost us the big, you know, Penske trucks to move it from place to place, and it's a lot of lifting for them. So having a warehouse means we could set up more permanently, so to speak, and then we bring volunteers there, and we could have more frequent builds, and it would be easier on all of our volunteers. So that's our big desire right now, you know, is to get us to that phase, because it means we could build more beds faster, and therefore we can deliver faster, and we can start going after that number. That's haunting me.
Because right now all that stuff is in sheds, and I mean it's just all over the place, and you're talking about a lot of stuff to deliver. So Glenn, just real quick, about how many, just the sanders, how many sanders do we take out on a bed build for each one of those, would you say?
At least 30. About 30
Okay. Okay, so 30 sanders for every time we have a bed build. And that's just the beginning. There's just so much that goes into it. So yes, having a place where it could just be, that you don't have to transport, that would be big. And so I'm not kidding myself into thinking that any of y'all are like, have these warehouses that you're just not doing anything with, but you may know somebody who does. So, and at least you can keep your eyes out, eyes open for us to try to find one. Any questions that y'all have? And if you're watching live, I don't know that we may not be able to help if you're watching this as a recording, but live, if you have a question, you can put that in the comment section, and it will come to us. And we've got just a few more minutes, so you got time to put that in the comment section, and we'll answer those. But any questions from anybody who's in here that you'd like to ask Bonnie before we?
On the other side of the spectrum, how does somebody find out if they need a bed? How do they find out about it?
So the question that Anna's asking is if somebody needs a bed, how do they find out about that? Great question.
Yeah, it is a great question. And the most popular way that we become exposed to the public like that is honestly through Facebook. It seems that most of these parents that are in this situation are active on Facebook. So they view it there, and our links are always available there for them, so they know where to go and how to, you know, it's easy to navigate and submit an application. But also, when we go into deliveries, we provide them a brochure. And we say to them, if you know a friend or a neighbor who has children who are sleeping on the floor too, then please, you know, share this information with them. So a lot of deliveries, sometimes we go back to the same area, same neighborhoods, because they've shared with their neighbors, and their neighbors had need too. So it's a lot of word of mouth, but it's also a lot of exposure on social media. And churches and other organizations that keep sharing the word. I mean, tell your neighbors, tell your friends, tell your business associates. That's really how it gets spread.
And another good thing that I really like, especially, I guess I don't really know what other chapters do, to be honest, but this chapter has not been irresponsible with that. because there are people they're calling these folks, they're talking with them about their situation, and so they're getting to know a little bit about them, so that we're not just throwing stuff out there. We have a good. There's only so much that you can find out, but we know what the need is, and we know that it's legitimate before we take our time to go toward that. So. It really is
Absolutely.
good.
That's a great point, Lane, because we take the time to vet every application.
That's a good word.
And first of all, we want to be sure that the child, it is within the age range. So we explain to the parent, we only deliver to school-age children, ages 3 to 17. And then our applications manager has gotten super good at just inquiring with, the person who's applying as to what the circumstances are and how are the children sleeping now, and how immediate, how stressful is the need. So there's a pretty good inquiry that helps us assure that, and we've not had one yet that I'm aware of where we have delivered and did not feel like it was an appropriate needed delivery.
Right. Anybody else? Anything come online? My phone is out, so I don't know. Nothing.
Is
Okay.
there a particular area that we find I say we like I'm involved, that
You are now.
that we find ourselves going into?
So the question that was asked is
Does
there a
that make
particular
sense?
area, at least in our area, and if you're watching and you're not from Savannah, we're talking specifically in Savannah, is there an area we keep finding ourselves going back to?
And yes, there absolutely is. We find that they're sort of clustered. The ones that are in the most need, they're kind of clustered in some of our areas of what I'll just say is the honest goodness truth. There are areas of poverty in Savannah. The interesting part is that the city of Savannah has started moving some of that public housing outside of the inner city. So we've found that we've been extending our drive range of deliveries to areas that we questioned at first, what's going on out here? This is a newer area, and is this really in need? But then we found out that is subsidized housing that is in some of the perimeter of our city. So it's a little bit all over. It just depends. We try to cluster them sometimes if we know that we're going to a particular area and we know there are others, around there. We try to cluster those so we're not driving too far. But it's really much broader than you think. And honestly, I have not here yet have I heard this, but I've heard from other chapters of people like all of us who live in nice neighborhoods and live comfortably. Their neighbors right down the road had children who were sleeping on the floor. Sometimes we just assume that the people we associate with don't have a need like that. And sometimes they're too embarrassed to admit it and to ask for help. But if we know it's there and it's valid, we certainly do want to address it.
You have
So-
a range, limit, how miles that you'll deliver or something like that?
So the question is what kind of limit do we have? Like, how far out will we go? That's
Oh, okay. Our area is strictly Chatham County. Every chapter of Sleep in Heavenly Peace designates an area that you will cover and serve. A chapter has opened up in Hinesville, so they cover that area. We just had a new chapter open up in Richmond Hill and one in Rincon. So you can see we all border each other, Bryan, McIntosh, Chatham, that's how it goes. So we stay within the Chatham County area because, and now I see there's just so many, it's enough for us to just handle what's happening, in our hometown. And that's a great question. It's true, it's everywhere.
so. Go ahead.
Sorry, we've got one online.
Okay.
If someone had items, I'm assuming like bedding, I was trying to clarify, but she hasn't answered yet. Would anyone be able to pick them up, or how does that happen?
Absolutely. If they will go online, the question was, do I need to repeat it?
Yes, I guess so.
Okay, the question was, if
I'm
someone
thinking they're online. I guess they could look at it themselves, but that's okay.
had bedding or something to donate, how did they get in touch with us and how does that happen? They can use the email address, or there is also a voicemail number on the website. And if they'll leave a message on that, I do respond to those regularly. So if they use one of those two methods, some of them have reached out to me through Facebook or Messenger. So any of those paths are fine. And when we, learn about it, we make arrangements to get the bedding from them. We have several drop sites. Relentless Church has one. I know that Emmanuel Baptist would be happy if somebody dropped one here. You get it to
we get it to
us.
them.
So we've got several sites around the city that kind of serve as collection sites for us. But we will go pick it up if we need to. We're happy to do that too. But we usually can make a way for them to have a convenient place to drop it.
You only accept new bedding.
Correct. That's
So,
right.
Important
Not
point.
cleaning out your closet.
Yeah.
It's
The
new
question
bedding.
is only new bedding? Answer is definitely yes.
Yes.
We don't want the old stuff that you're tired of looking at. So yes, only new stuff.
Yeah, and that's a great question because it applies to the beds and to the bedding. We only provide the beds that we build, and so we don't take in used beds that nobody, needs any longer, although we appreciate the heart that somebody wants to contribute, for sure. But we stay within the guidelines of, how Sleep in Heavenly Peace was founded. And so we only deliver the beds we build, and we only give the child brand new mattresses and brand new bedding.
All right. Well, it looks like we're a little bit over. Let me encourage y'all to do one more thing. I would encourage you to go on Facebook, on the Facebook site, to see the pictures. They're on the Facebook site, right?
They are.
Yes.
They are.
And
Lots.
there's going to be more pictures. Just peruse through those and look at the kids and look at the families and the parents of those kids who just got a bed. And we just spent almost an hour talking about it. If you spent 60 seconds doing that, that would probably be all you needed to get involved. So.
And join our Facebook page, if you will, because it helps spread the word.
Yeah, that's true.
So please
Yep.
do that.
And if you're watching this podcast, again, just like we say every week, like it and share it. If you'll do those things, then that'll be a big help, and that'll get the word out to people that we have nothing to do with, and we'll be glad for that message to get out.
And thank you for this opportunity,
Yeah.
because this is a
Yeah.
great way to spread the message too.
Yeah.
So we're very grateful.
Well, thank you for your time. Appreciate you being here today. Let me encourage y'all to be back again next week. Next week is going to be it's going to be a hard subject. We're going to be talking with our Hispanic pastor and another Hispanic member of our church. We're going to just be talking about the Hispanic culture, immigration. We're going to be covering some of those things. How do we look at those things as believers? How do we look at it as a church? And those kinds of things. And so that's going to be a very interesting topic. Not quite as easy as this one. So, because not everybody agrees. I think we can all agree on this particular subject. So anyway, be back next week. Thank you all for joining with us. Let's close in prayer. And then for those of you who are going to choir, apologize to Mark for me. Let's pray. God, we thank you for Bonnie and just all that you've put on her heart, and just how you've revealed to her, through her, all that we could do to make a difference in the lives of kids. And we do thank you for the work that has been done, and so many volunteers, hundreds, like at this point, literally hundreds of volunteers. And we thank you for all that they've done, and we look forward to more going forward. Just use us to bring a light to someone who really is just, they see everything as dark, and they don't see a whole lot of hope down the road. May we provide that. And it seems kind of simple that it would just be through a bed, but I pray that it would also be through our demeanor and the love that you show through us. And so just use us to make a difference in this county, and for those who are in other counties that may be watching, I pray that you'd put something, light a fire in their heart, that this would spread and to where they are, and that they can make a difference there. Thank you for our time together tonight. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, thank y'all. Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank
We'll see
you.
y'all next week.
When my head is full of questions and the sky is full of rain, when I'm worrying about what I can't change, I take a look at my reflection and try to make a funny face, and for a second all my sorrows melt away. 'Cause if we just smile, we can forget all of our troubles for a while. We can just live inside this moment. You and I get through the darkness knowing we'll find the light. If we just smile, if we just smile, yeah, if we just smile. Maybe we focus on the future. No use in living in the past. Try to remember that the bad times never last. And every day one step at a time, we gonna make it alright. If we stick together, we'll be fine. 'Cause if we just smile, we can forget all of our troubles for a while. We can just live inside this moment. You and I get through the darkness knowing we'll find the light. If we just smile, if we just smile when the sky is falling, smile when the love comes calling. We can take tomorrow on with style. If we just smile, we can forget